Have you ever discovered a secret so big it made you question everything you thought you knew about love? I did. It was the morning of my 30th birthday, sunlight streaming through the kitchen window, birds chirping like nature's own confetti. When I found the envelope, I'd stayed late at the office the night before, drowning my birthday anxieties in spreadsheets and late-night takeout. Returning home, I'd expected, well, honestly, nothing. Birthdays had become routine, just another day. So I was halfway down the hall before I noticed it. A thick, cream-colored envelope, tucked under the doormat. I paused, heart fluttering. My name was handwritten across the front in Mark's elegant script, the one I'd fallen in love with on our 5th date. Curious, I slipped it inside, balancing it against the apartment's cool tile as I fished out my keys. In the kitchen, Mark was already brewing something strong. He looked up, surprised. "Honey, you're up early." "I found this," I said, sliding the envelope across the counter. His face softened, relief, perhaps, or guilt. He swallowed. "I was going to give it to you tonight." I tore it open. Inside was a stack of glossy bank statements, each stamped with words that raised icy hairs on my arms. Paid in full. Underneath, Johnson Family Trust, and beneath that, the name of my parents. I blinked. "What is this?" Mark set down his mug. That's for your parents." I frowned. "My parents what?" He exhaled, rubbing his jaw. "Their debt, college loans, medical bills, credit cards, they've been sinking for years. I decided to pay it off." My heart sank like a stone in a well. "You what?" He reached across the counter. "I thought it would be a blessing, a way to help them, too. Surprise you." I backed away, chest tight. "Help them? Why would you do that without telling me?" His shoulders slumped. "I didn't want to worry you. You've got your own debts, student loans, the new car." I cut him off. "My debts are my responsibility. My parents' debts are theirs. How dare you decide? This for me." He winced. "I thought you'd be grateful." "Grateful?" I laughed, the sound hollow. "I feel betrayed." He opened his mouth to speak, then hesitated. My palms pressed to the cold granite. I could feel my pulse drumming in my ears. I'd always viewed marriage as a partnership, shared dreams, shared burdens, shared decisions. But this unilateral act felt like a breach of trust, so deep I wasn't sure I could swim back to solid ground. I grabbed my keys. "I'm going for a walk." Mark reached for my arm. "Please don't go, I'm sorry." But I was already out the door, the envelope burning a hole in my purse. The city air was sharp, with the tang of spring, but it did nothing to cool the fire in my veins. I walked without direction, weaving down side streets until I found a bench in the park where we'd first picnicked as a couple. I sank onto the wood, pulling the statements from the envelope. Each page confirmed it. 6 figures wiped clean, all labeled under Johnson Family Trust. My parents lived modestly in their little house by the lake, never once hinting at this secret burden. And Mark, my partner, the man I trusted with every beat of my heart, had quietly shouldered it. Without my knowledge, I felt tears come, but this was anger more than sorrow. Anger at the secrecy, at the assumption that he could fix my family's problems on his own terms. Anger at my parents for hiding their struggles from me, and at myself for never seeing the strain in their eyes when they visited, for letting "I'm fine" be enough. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "Happy birthday, sweetheart. Can't wait to celebrate tonight." Beneath it, Dad's, "Love you, kiddo." I typed back, "Love you both. See you tonight." Then I deleted the message. Threw the phone on. the bench. I closed my eyes, listened to the world spin, the distant laughter of children on the playground, the scrape of a bike chain on concrete, the rustle of new leaves. Everything felt surreal, as if someone had pulled the rug out from under my life. I exhaled and stood, smoothing my skirt. I wouldn't let the secret kill the evening. I'd face them all, Mark, my parents, and demand transparency. I'd carve clarity from this betrayal, or I'd walk away. Because love, I realized, wasn't about grand gestures behind your back. It was about respect, honesty, and the courage to share burdens before they become betrayals. I tucked the statements back into the envelope and walked toward home, ready to uncover truths I'd kept hidden from myself, and to decide whether our marriage could survive their light. He met me in the kitchen, the envelope still clutched in my fist. His face was pale, eyes rimmed with exhaustion, as if he'd slept on shards of glass. Without a word, I slid it across the counter. He picked it up, glanced at the top statement, and winced. "Megan, I held up a hand. "Don't." My voice sounded strangled. "I need to hear your truth." He exhaled, dropping the statements. "I thought I was helping. I thought I was sparing you. Worry. Sparing me." I repeated, shock edging toward fury. "You made a six-figure decision for my family, our lives, without telling me." His shoulders slumped. "I've been siphoning money from my bonus every month into that account. By the time I paid it off, it was a lot more than I expected." I leaned against the island, heartbeat loud in my ears. Was it worth it to lie by omission for a year? He looked away. I don't know." I ran my fingers through my hair. "Tell me why you felt you had the right." He straightened, pain flickering in his eyes. "I saw your parents struggling. Dad lost his job last year. Mom's medical bills piled up. You never said a word because you didn't want me to worry. I thought I could fix it quietly." My chest ached. "They didn't tell me because it was their problem, not yours, and because they trusted me to handle it with them." His gaze met mine, tears pooling. "I should have told you. I should have asked." I closed my eyes, blinking back tears of hurt. "I need space." He nodded, stepping back. "Of course." I retreated to the guest room, shutting the door softly. I sank onto the bed, clutching the envelope as if it were a lifeline or a noose. My phone lay beside me. I thumbed through my contacts and dialed my mother-in-law's number, someone outside this family's heartbreak, someone whose perspective felt neutral. She answered with gentle concern. "Hi, Janet. Do you have a minute?" Over the next 15 minutes, I poured out the situation, Mark's secret payments, my parents' silent suffering, my sense of betrayal. She listened and then said, "He did something kind, but kindness without partnership can hurt as much as cruelty. You deserve honesty." Her words settled in my mind like settling dust. I thanked her and ended the call. I lay back and closed my eyes, letting my thoughts drift. I realized this was more than finances. It was about respect and shared responsibility. Marriage meant facing storms together, not one partner weathering it alone. Later that afternoon, Mark found me on the couch, still clutching the envelope, guilt-etched, every line of his face. "I want to make this right," he said. I sat up. "The first right thing is transparency. I want access to the Johnson trust statements. I want full records of what was paid and when." He nodded. "You will." I continued, voice firm.
Okay.
"Next, I need to call my parents and my creditors. I want to face the mess head on, not have it cleaned up behind my back." His expression tightened. "I'll support you." "And after that," I said, I need us to set up a joint financial plan. We'll see an advisor, work out a budget together. No more secrets. He swallowed. Agreed. I closed my eyes and took a breath. Finally, I need time to process. Tonight, I'll spend with my friend Claire. Can you leave me space? He exhaled and nodded. I understand. I drove to Claire's house, its lights a beacon of friendship and normalcy. She greeted me with hugs and homemade cookies. We hugged until I could stop shaking. Over tea, I walked her through every detail. She listened without judgment, then said, "You did nothing wrong. You deserve a partner who trusts you enough to share burdens." I nodded, tears sliding down. "I want to repair this." She took my hand. "And you will, if he truly commits to honesty." Her unwavering support felt like a lifeline. I realized I had a choice: retreat forever or rebuild with clear eyes. That evening, I returned home to a quiet that felt both heavy and hopeful. Mark stood in the living room, 2 mugs of chamomile tea in hand. He approached slowly. "I made your favorites." I accepted one and sipped. Warmth spread through me. "Thank you." He exhaled. "I've signed you up with a family trust administrator, full access. I called the advisor for us. And I spoke with my parents, too. They understand, no more secrets." I let the words sink in. "I appreciate it." He reached for my hand. "I love you. I don't want to lose this." I looked into his eyes, searching for sincerity. The furrow in his brow, the vulnerability, it was real. I nodded. "Let's rebuild, one step at a time." He squeezed my hand. "One step at a time." Over the next weeks, we met with the financial advisor, a stern but kind woman named Rosa, who helped us draft a transparent budget. We set up shared accounts for bills, separate, ones for individual spending, and an emergency fund with joint approval. Each meeting felt like erecting new beams in a damaged house, painful but necessary. We also scheduled couples therapy to address the emotional fallout. At our first session, we sat side by side before Dr. Kim, describing our breach of trust. I spoke about betrayal's sting, Mark, about his fear driving secrecy. She guided us through exercises in active listening. "Repeat back what you heard," she said. "We learned to validate each other. I hear that you felt betrayed. I understand you feared burdening me." Those sessions were raw and slow, but with each step, I felt the distance between us shrink. 1 month later, on a clear Saturday, I invited my parents and Mark's entire family for a backyard barbecue, the first family gathering where I felt able to bridge the gap. My parents arrived, relieved smiles on their faces when they learned their debts were fully paid through. Honest conversation, not secret handouts. My dad hugged me fiercely, my mom pressed my hand with gratitude. Mark stood by my side, nerves flickering across his face. When his parents thanked him for the financial transparency, his relief was almost audible. After everyone settled, I raised a glass of iced tea. "Thank you all for being here," I began. "I know things have been rocky, but today we celebrate honesty, partnership, and the chance to move forward stronger." Glasses clinked. Laughter filled the yard. I caught Mark's eye and saw pride and love shining. There. That night, after the last guest departed, Mark and I sat on the porch swing, sipping mint lemonades. Fireflies drifted through the lawn like gentle promises. He turned to me. "Thank you for giving me the chance to prove myself." I leaned against him. "Thank you for taking that chance." We sat in companionable silence, acceptance weaving around us like warm blankets. The financial statements lay forgotten in a drawer, no longer a symbol of betrayal but a reminder of what we'd overcome together. As I closed my eyes, I whispered into the night. We walked through fear and found trust waiting. On the other side, and in that shared heartbeat of calm, I knew our love had been tested and had emerged more honest, more resilient, and more united than ever before. And then came the moment when I realized our love story wasn't over, it was just entering its next chapter. By the time I left Mark that afternoon, the day I returned home with my resolve hardened, the house had started to feel like ours again, rather than a battleground. In the guest room, my suitcase sat almost empty, a reminder of my overnight escape. I'd brought only what I needed: pajamas, a change of clothes, and a journal whose pages were heavy with truth and pain. Now, I tossed the last of my belongings into the closet and strode back into the living room, determination fluttering in my chest like a newly hatched bird. Mark stood by the sofa, fiddling with the throw pillows. His eyes met mine, anxious but hopeful. I closed the distance without hesitation. "I'm ready," I said simply. He exhaled, relief filtering through his posture. "Thank you," he whispered, and reached for my hand. That evening, we sat at our kitchen table with the flickering glow of a single candle, no phones, no distractions, just the two of us and a homemade spaghetti dinner that tasted better than any restaurant. Across from me sat the man I'd vowed to love in sickness and in health and plenty, and in want. Now I wondered, could we add in betrayal and in rebuilding to that vow? I offered him a small smile. "We agreed on the rules," I reminded him gently. "But we need rituals to remind us why we chose each other." He nodded, rich brown eyes shining. "Truth hour." I nodded. "Truth hour." He uncorked a bottle of wine, poured us each a glass, and raised his. "To truth," he toasted. I clinked my glass against his. "To us." Week by week, our new routine stitched us closer. Every Sunday, the candle flickered again. During Truth Hour, I spoke of lingering doubts, moments when I'd caught myself questioning whether secrets lurked behind every closed door. He spoke of his regret and his renewed commitment to transparency. We listened, validated, and forgave, not in grand speeches, but in gentle affirmations. "Thank you for sharing that." "I see you. I love you." Our Tuesday cooking nights became sacred. One week, we tackled homemade macaroons and collapsed into laughter when the almond flour turned into paste. Another week, we made fresh pasta, tangled strands of dough across the counter, and discovered that even a little mess could feel beautiful when shared. In the quiet between words, I began to notice Mark's small gestures, extra time he spent washing my coffee mug the next morning so I wouldn't have to think about dishes before sunrise, a just because text during my late night shifts, the way he paused mid-sentence when I walked into the room as if he never wanted to stop noticing me. And I, in turn, learned to release my grip on control. I let him handle my parents' finances with me poring over bank statements and invoices side by side. I invited him to therapy sessions with my sister so he could see the roots of my anger, abandoned by childhood friends, scarred by secrets, and understand why his betrayal cuts so deep. He listened. He apologized again. And each time, the pain in my heart softened a bit. One crisp spring afternoon, I found a package on the doorstep, a small wooden jewelry box, engraved with our wedding date. Inside lay 2 silver bracelets, one etched with my name, the other with his, and an inscription beneath, "Partners in truth always." No note, no signature, just the elegant promise of a future we would write together. I called Mark, voice-catching. "Where did this come from?" He laughed softly. "I made it for us, with help from a friend. I wanted to give us something tangible to remind us that our bond is forged in honesty." I felt tears brim. "It's perfect," he answered. "Just like us, if we keep choosing each other." I pressed the bracelets to my lips. "I choose you." That night, Emma texted me again, tentatively, after the boundary we set. "How are you?" I've started dating myself and focusing on healing. Beneath it, she'd sent an apology gif, too. Cartoon friends hugging. I stared at it. Then I typed, "I'm healing too. One day at a time." No immediate reply, but I felt a spark of compassion, a recognition that our hearts, all of us, are broken in ways we don't always see. Summer arrived, and with it, our first anniversary of choosing each other rather than simply saying the words. Mark surprised me with a trip, a weekend in the mountains where our wedding photos were first taken. We hiked the same trails, dipped our toes in the same cool stream, and picnicked beneath towering pines. When he knelt and presented me with a new ring, a simple band of hammered silver to match the bracelets, I realized the only circle that mattered was the one we kept closing toward each other through every trial. "I want this to symbolize not just forever," he said, "but every moment we rebuild what matters." I slipped it on my finger, feeling its weight and warmth. My heart swelled. It does. Now, as I sit at my desk on another ordinary morning, sunlight dancing off the windows, I look at our cat curled on the windowsill, our wedding photo above the mantel, and the two silver bracelets neatly coiled on my jewelry tray. The world feels full of possibility and grounded in reality. I have no illusions that betrayal can be erased. But I've learned that love, when tempered by honesty and deliberate care, can be stronger than any mistake. It takes work, sometimes the hardest work of all, to stay when every instinct tells you to flee. And yet, here I am, Megan, and he is Mark, my husband, my partner in truth, my living reminder that love is not just what we say on good days, but what we choose on the rest. As I rise to make coffee, I whisper to the quiet house, "We did it. We chose each other." And in the gentle hum of the morning, I know I'll keep choosing him over and over because our love, reborn in truth, is the greatest story I'll ever tell.